Hey folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for Daily Death and Taxes. We're going into round 5 with a 2-2 record. We're on the draw this time around against the Wall of Bone. Yeah, sure. Why not? Ancient Tomb would drastically improve this hand. That's been true of every round so far. Red Prison. Could be show and tell. I have to do this considering my opponent's play pattern. I guess it's technically better to do that in my opponent's upkeep in case Lotus Petal Stifle is a thing, but you know. Phyrexian Revoker, one-time dealer. No, alright. So this is a turn where I need to make a decision about what my opponent is playing. And so to try to help, we're going to do the good old MTG Goldfish on my opponent and see what their results are with. Wall _of _bone. No results. Okay. So if my opponent is playing Show and Tell, then playing Spirit of the Labyrinth so they can't cantrip is better. But if they're not playing that, then playing Legion Warboss is better. Legion Warboss into Winota is probably stupid, and I am inclined to take that play in the dark when I don't have additional information about what my opponent is doing. How how did you what did you keep if you don't have a play on 4 mana? I legitimately do not understand. Please don't concede. Let me have this. Let me have this. Yes. Oh, baby. Don't concede. Let me have it. Let me have it. I can make a Winota attack right now. Now we'll make a Scab Clan attack. Blade Splicer, get in there, buddy. Thalia, get in there too. Alright, now we have the screenshot for daily D&T for next week. Opponent says, very cool. Yeah, gotta be honest. This is the first time it's worked. Alright, so my opponent is actually on the mono-red, show and tell deck. Or not show and tell, sneak attack deck. And they confirmed that by playing the Seething Song there. I was starting to suspect that, but I wasn't really sure because a red prison opener that has no. How do I say this? A red prison opener that looks like that isn't keepable. Where you get to at least 3 mana on turn 1. I think they had 4 mana. They had 3 or 4 mana on turn 1 and then didn't do anything with it. Yeah, and not keepable. When we're on the play, Chalice on 0 is totally acceptable. Not so much when we're on the draw. I think we're only going to be boarding in 2 Council's Judgments when we're on the draw. And I think we're just replacing 2 lightning bolts with 2 council's judgments. Calling that good. My opponent's not going to have small creatures that I need to remove. So this has a Wasteland for a Soul Land. It has a Phyrexian Revoker for probably Sneak Attack. This is unquestionably going to be a keep. Ancient Tomb for turn 1 Revoker is disgusting. I accept. There's a world where naming Lotus Petal is better, but like last game my opponent played out Lotus Petals when they had them, so I don't think that's true here. Alright, so now can't wasteland my opponent, or I would. Blaze Placer represents more damage over time. The question is, like, am I fetching? Fetching is kind of weird due to the fact that my opponent could Blood Moon me. If I fetch for a white source, weird because like this damage is going to put me below 15. I'm not going to survive an Emrakul attack. I might not have enough permanents to anyway. I can get plateau here and not and like take less damage over time. I think I'm okay with that. It still leaves me with red for next turn. And if I get like Blood Mooned off of casting Spirit of the Labyrinth, like shrug. I don't know what sort of like Pyroclasm type cards my opponent is running. Like I don't know where the meta is at, like or like Pyroclasm versus Kozilek's Return versus like one of the uncounterable sweepers. So this can be a Through the Breach. Act on Impulse. Exile top 3. You can play them until end of turn. Ooh! So my opponent actually looks to be bonus round Storm, in which case I have boarded wrong. And I should have played Chalices. I also named wrong with Revoker. They do not have a deterministic kill at this point, although Burning Wish means they can make a large number of goblins. Have a green? All right. Go on. Okay, so they have a non-deterministic kill attempt. Lightning Bolt is worth 6 damage or 2 of my creatures at this point. This is definitely going to be one of those, like, buckle up, who knows what's going to happen moments. Burning Wish probably kills me. Burning Wish for Grape Shot copied. As soon as I see the Grape Shot, I'm going to concede so my opponent doesn't have to put that on the stack. Insult Injury. I don't know what that is. Where are you? All right. So you deal double damage, then you deal 4 damage twice. You also have a lightning bolt or 2 floating somewhere. Ah, okay. You copy that, and that results in multiple. Okay, I see. So now the lightning bolts are going to do a lot of damage. All right, I get it. I don't know why these aren't just like going directly at my face. I feel like I'm dead. Maybe I'm not. I don't know math for this deck. This is a different version than what I have seen previously. Okay. So it still very much kills me. So Chalice. Chalice seems good. Let's get Chalice in there. So now, just thinking in terms of strategy, we're looking to mulligan to Chalice, Thalia, Revoker. Council's Judgment very much is not good. That gets to go out. Lightning Bolts similarly are not really where I need to be. And a lot of these spells my opponent is doing. Actually, the Aftermath card can only be cast from the graveyard, right? Injury. Insult, injury. Yeah, cast this card only from your graveyard. So I can potentially Leyline of the Void them and shut off a potential line for them. I don't know how good that is, but it is a real option. So I want all 4 of my lightning bolts out, and then the question is like Leyline of the Void versus like some of the other random creatures that are in my deck. I'm fine with cutting 4 creatures. It would still leave me at more than enough creatures. Like cutting some of my top end is probably okay. Like I can probably cut both P and Ks. I can probably cut a Winota, maybe even 2 of them, because like most of the regular creatures are so good here. I think it's between like Winota and a Blade Splicer. Blade Splicer is so good with Winota though. Actually, the Magus. The Magus is pretty embarrassing, right? Like that's just probably more detrimental to me than to them by quite a bit. Yes, I would like to play first. This is turn 2 Thalia. Yep. Seems great. I don't have red mana for casting these things, but I have an Ancient Tomb, which makes a lot of my top decks quite good. Best draw in the deck is like Chalice of the Void this turn, otherwise just red source for most of the other turns. That's good. So because of mana here, I'm going to play the Chalice for X equals 0. That shuts off future artifact mana. And then I'll play Thalia so that I can do both of these in the same turn. Otherwise, if I play the Ancient Tomb, I only have 3 mana, so I can't like do Thalia plus this in the same turn, and like this Thalia needs to come down on this turn cycle. I don't know if they're playing like Ruby Medallion. I didn't see that, but it's the sort of thing that would be quite good. Red source. This is Okay. Protecting Thalia is like absolutely legit. Because like I know my opponent has lightning bolts. Oh man, are they getting greedy? Oh, they're getting greedy. They're getting so punished for that play. They tried to save 2 life, and it just means that I get to put Thalia in play and a new giver, or a new Thalia in play and a giver. That's not really the draw I was looking for, but okay. Any red source, Blade Splicer, Spirit of the Labyrinth, things of that nature are pretty darn good. The opponent had something there they wanted to play and maybe forgot about the Thalia attacks. They have a 3 mana card, maybe one of the red things in their hand. Red, like, pseudo draw 3s. Alright. I have layers of protection for this Thalia. It is quite safe. However, I have like no ability to put more pressure on the board, and 2 damage a turn is like maybe not enough in the long term. I also have 4 ley lines in my deck as dead draws at this point. Would be the perfect time to draw a ley line to illustrate that point. Thank you. So is this D&T splash red? Yeah, more or less. It's a brew. Okay, that's quite good. Two, three, four, five, six. I can't cast it on 3. I can cast it for 2 for Burning Wish reasons. I can cast it on 1 for Ritual and Lightning Bolt reasons. I like legitimately do not have enough matchup experience to know what I am supposed to cast this on. Casting it on 1 is probably the least detrimental to my own strategy, whereas like casting it on 2 or 3 shuts off more of my cards. So I think I'm going to go with 1. There's worlds where I'm supposed to take 2 damage there and tap the Ancient Tomb so that I can leave up another white mana so that if my opponent like somehow makes me bounce the Thalia in response, that I can redeploy the Thalia in the same turn cycle. Like maybe thinking too many levels too deep, but like I'm definitely thinking about it here. Opponent was typing. The only other interaction I'm expecting now is deafening silence, and then I played the other chalice and they were like, oh, whoops. Alright, you have a Seething Song. Destroy all white permanents. Okay. I will bounce Thalia. You have gotten rid of my Giver of Runes using 2 cards. I accept. Red source is clutch. Nope. close out this game so quickly with a single red source at any point. Alright, so this is until your next turn. Alright, so next turn they can get a ruby medallion, which offsets the Thalia, and then I'm like legitimately... Oh wait, hold on. Can we play it until the end of this turn? Okay, great. So now these have lost that ability. Cool. Okay, so this says until the end of turn, not until the end of the next turn. Whereas this one is until the end of the next turn. Alright, so this is probably just an attempt to get some value out of Anamorphose rather than like an actual attempt at going off. Hard to say. Red mana source is now lethal. Since my opponent tapped Ancient Tomb very specifically. If I lose this one at 1 because I never do a red source in 17 cards, I'm going to admittedly be a little bit upset. At least I get to play around Anarchy now by having Phyrexian Revoker in play. I haven't seen an LED yet. I've seen a Lotus Petal. Ancient Tomb is off. Pyrokinesis is a beating. Not much to be done about that, though. Dallas on Revoker. Dallas on 0 and Revoker. GG. GG's indeed. Alright. I respect the warrior's death there. Okay, so we went 3-2 with this deck. Winota is really powerful, but I think Aether Vial sucked in this deck, if I'm being honest with you. Like, Ancient Tomb was always the card that I was hoping to draw. Like, just like Ancient Tomb, try to get Winota out earlier. Ancient Tomb, try to play one of these cards out earlier. It probably should be that you should just like play a little bit more mana-based acceleration, or maybe even like Chrome Mox or something like that, and go away from the Ether Vial standpoint. Um, I've been kind of preaching the message that Ether Vial is not particularly good in Legacy anymore, and I still like very, very much believe that. It's better now than it was like prior to the initial companion bannings and the companion errata, but like fast mana acceleration has been very, very good for me, whereas Ether Vial has been like medium to bad for me in a lot of cases. And like if we're gonna use Winota to cheat a whole bunch of stuff into play anyway, we don't necessarily need Vial. Um, it's it's kind of like once you have a Goblin Lackey in play and your opponent doesn't have any creatures and you're using that to cheat in creatures, the Vial loses a lot of value, right? Like it still does things, but if you have another method of cheating things into play, you don't necessarily need the extra synergy here. So I'd be more interested in like exploring a version of this deck that has like another Ancient Tomb, maybe one or two City of Traders, a set of Chrome Mox here instead. But like the deck list definitely had legs. I was expecting the 2-3 or worse with this deck going in, and at least we did the thing very impressively once this week. All right, that's all I have for you this week. If you're enjoying the daily DMT series, please consider donating in order to support a week of it in the future. Have a great rest of the day, folks.